Hello and welcome to the All Ambient Podcast, where we dig into the creative process, we hear untold stories, and we explore the minds of some brilliant people behind some of the finest ambient music out there. My name is Mike Graff. I make music as Dear Gravity. Glad to be here with you. Today's roundtable edition of the All Ambient Podcast digs into a subject that can be a little difficult to talk about. There's a level of transparency, of being willing to just get after it that you got to get to have this conversation. But we talked about resistance today and how each of us experiences resistance, how Marshall, Ben, Kirk, and myself, how each of us experiences resistance as an artist. Of course, we are referring to resistance with a capital R that is talked about in Steven Pressfield's incredible, essential book for all artists, The War of Art. Go buy it right now if you haven't done so. It is just a fabulous read. But yeah, with bearing some soul a little bit, we all dug into some of the things that can present themselves as standing in the way of further creation and what we can do to combat that. So let's get right to it. Before we get there, make sure you come join All Ambient on Discord if you haven't yet. The link is in the show notes. Great conversations going on there. A lot of different artists, a lot of different musicians, producers, composers connecting, talking about all sorts of things, not the least of which is the podcast conversation on Discord, where we talk about each episode. You can ask additional questions, you can provide feedback, and you can even ask questions for future episodes if you would like. It's a great place to hang and connect with other like-minded folk. Come and join All Ambient on Discord. And also, make sure you go to all-ambient.com. Lots of great releases in the All Ambient family are coming out on streaming and licensing platforms. They're multiplying day by day in the best way. The number of releases that are coming out, any sort of quality in what's being released, quite the opposite. The number of people who are incredible at what they do and who are attached to All Ambient continues to grow. And it is just a great thing. When you head over to All Ambient's website, coming in the near future, you will start seeing some resources that are dropping. We have plans to be rolling them out this year, not in a tease sort of way, but just in a we are actively working on things. And we'll be very excited to share them with you when they arrive, and it's going to be great. But that's the place you're going to want to be at. all-ambient.com is the hub for all that. Enough of me blabbing. Let's get right into today's roundtable edition of the All Ambient Podcast. Well, hello, everybody. Good to have you. Glad that we're here together. How's it going?
Good. Going very well, man.
Nice.
Thank you.
Amazing. Awesome. We're roundtabling it like a boss. I have a fun little thing that is actually kind of a little bit more music news-ish for those who might be new to the All Ambient Podcast. Marshall, Ben, Kirk, and myself get together and we do roundtable episodes, kind of exploring something within the creative process and just talking through artistry a little bit more. But there's also the music news side where we dig in a little bit to what's happening, more like kind of real-time current event sort of thing. And so we are in a roundtable episode right now, but I have a little kind of a small little music news thing that doesn't warrant a full music news discussion because we have talked about pieces of this subject before, but I did see something kind of interesting that I thought I'd share with you guys. And it is about our friends over at Deezer and Deezer's fight against the AI invasion. It was kind of a fun little read. Has anybody caught any of this news? Or I'm bringing, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. I haven't.
Cool. Well, first of all, I didn't know that Deezer was based in France. That makes me smile. They are that much cooler. So recently, this is on Music Business Worldwide, that Deezer has revealed that approximately 18% of all tracks being uploaded to their platform are fully generated by AI right now, which is wild to me. That number as of right now, it's a pretty close estimate that it is just over 20,000 fully AI generated tracks delivered to their platform every single day, which for some perspective has doubled since January. So in the last 3 months, they have gone from 10,000, which is still a boatload of tracks. Don't get me wrong.
It's still 10,000 too many.
Yeah, exactly. So they're acknowledging it. They're saying it's flooding our platform. We don't see any sign of this slowing down. But what they have done is they've launched an AI detection tool. So this is something that they have patent applications for. What they are doing is they are filtering fully AI generated tracks from all of their algorithmic recommendations, which is just like awesome. That just a move like that from one of the larger, music streaming platforms is a huge thing. I'm going to read this article just a little bit more. Okay, in January, Deezer CEO Alexis Lanternier stated the company's plans to exclude fully AI-generated tracks from algorithmic and editorial recommendation, which is like, I mean, we should all be jumping up and down at that. Like that is just an awesome thing. Generative AI has the potential to positively, this is Alexis speaking. Generative AI has the potential to positively impact music creation and consumption, but its use must be guided by responsibility and care in order to safeguard the rights and revenues of artists and songwriters. And then the article just kind of finishes out saying that Deezer is definitely the most aggressive DSP when it comes to kind of detecting this stuff. Essentially, the people who are out there kind of looking to skim royalties and just push, whatever quality content just to kind of grab some stuff. I saw that and was just really excited and was like, man, we're not the only 4 people or the only group of people who are like, hey, maybe this is something that we should look into. Like that's pretty great that Deezer is acknowledging the impact of this and that they're saying, hey, we think that this is something that we want to do about it. So yeah, there's a little nugget and any quick responses on that. I'm thrilled. It makes me really happy.
I'm fascinated by what is the science behind how they actually works. Is it like, it's like CID for YouTube or whatever?
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't even know how CID for YouTube works, but.
I mean, if the AI is smart enough to generate tracks, then there must be AI that's smart enough to sniff them out.
I don't know if do you guys follow Ben Jordan on YouTube?
Yeah.
Somebody just mentioned that. Yeah.
So
was it you? You may have just mentioned it, that there was no, I don't know someone, but there was a podcast episode that just dropped that was kind of significant.
Possibly. I mean, he's doing a lot of stuff with AI and detection, and he has developed, as far as I understand it, a way of basically, and I'm going to butcher this, so you should check out his channel, but of like integrating like inaudible sound or data within music files that basically mess up any AI that tries to train off of them. So you put them into,
baby.
So you put them into the AI thing and it spits out something just completely random because it cannot hear it properly. And then he takes it further because he messes up like Amazon Alexa and stuff like that. And it just kind of does random stuff. It's really fascinating. I kind of feel like he
love it so much.
Created something which is what you're talking about in terms of like detecting whether something's AI, but I don't quote me on that. I would need to check out his thing. But he does some really, really cool stuff with like tech and engineering and
I have a new hero. That's huge.
Yeah. Go check it out. It's good. Yeah. It's good.
Oh, that's great.
So can I do that for my commissioned tracks? Put those inaudible files in there.
Yeah, go back.
I mean, really.
I mean, technically, you can
if
it's the same musical timestamp, or like if the audio file is the same timestamp, I think you can go back and you can update, a mix on a previous if you really, really wanted to.
Yeah,
I think that there's some DSPs that maybe don't handle that quite as smoothly as others, but I think you can update and yeah, if it's inaudible in a sense. That's fascinating.
Yeah, that's pretty
I'm
cool.
just thinking through like if you want to just like be a total jerk about it, where like you've got like a We Dream of Eden ambient track, but with the crazy like AI metadata that's inaudibly embedded into it. It's like reading it as like a German polka song or something like that. and just, I don't, it would just be so fun to, I'm a huge sucker for all the YouTube videos of people who scammers and keep them on the phone for way too long and all that and for those who are trying to train copyrighted material, be like, hey, I think it's time to mess with you a little bit.
Man, that's great.
Ben Jordan, cool.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah,
it's good.
That's fascinating. Yeah, this This is a cool development for sure. I think one thing that's interesting to me is, and Deezer's acknowledging it, with all this stuff and essentially being able to detect it. I'm just curious if, almost, and like kind of part of it is a moral conversation, but I'm just curious if there's going to be this battle in trying to pass off AI generated music as not AI generated. Like if it's kind of this deceptive, like, oh, hey, and then this artist, did this, as opposed to essentially just having like a sticker, popped right out. Like, okay, cool. And here's this album that was generated by AI. I would almost receive that AI generated album better if there was something on it that just said like, hey, this is an I could almost appreciate like the prompt that someone took the time to write for that, as opposed to you trying to convince me that that was some person in Portugal who, here's all these generated images of them in their studio or looking out at the beach, looking at the waves. And yeah, the deception part is something that I think is going to be interesting. But yeah.
It's like at that point, why not just like do a real artist? It's like,
yeah.
You're going to spend that much time to.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever tried to like create like AI images with the generator thing, like to try to create something quite specific? Because like when I've tried it, and maybe I haven't done it in a while, but like if I have something in mind and I'm like typing in the prompt and trying to get it to create the thing, it takes so long for it to generate the stuff, and the results are kind of never quite what you want, and you have to do iteration after iteration. I'm just it's quicker for me to go and take a photo, or quicker for me to just get something from Unsplash and splice it together with something else. Like that is genuinely a quicker and better result. Now I completely understand that there is very cool stuff you can create with AI art, but I like, at least in my very limited experience with it, I've found it very frustrating.
There is a discipline and skill to it to get the results that you want. I can appreciate people's creativity to do that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But it could also be faster.
The prompt world is very interesting. Like just even reading through how AI understands the prompts and what you tell it to do and what words you shouldn't use and kind of that sort of thing. It's pretty interesting. But also, like as of right now, it's still very real time, right? Like the request goes out to whatever server farm that has all the computing power it's generating real time sort of thing. Was something that didn't exist moments ago, and now you're asking it to be a thing. But it's not as fast as punching in a URL sort of thing by any means, and that'll probably change at some point. But it's I'm with you, Ben. May as well just walk outside and take a photo. Yeah. Crazy. Cool. Well, good job, Deezer. Keep up the good fight.
Go get him.
Go get him. Indeed. Guys, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about a particular subject from a book that I love. This is a book by an author named Steven Pressfield, and the book is The War of Art. Have we all read The War of Art, or at least we're familiar with the war? Okay, I got a couple nods.
Is that the one where like resistance is the enemy?
Yep. There it is. Spoiler alert.
Sorry, is that the good guys or the bad guys?
No. The question of today's roundtable is, what is your resistance? Absolutely. It's so good. I remember exactly where I was the moment I read it the first time. It just clocked me. So good. But let me read just a couple chunks. All credit to Steven Pressfield for putting together an incredible book on the creative process and on the mindset of artists. Big deal. But here we go. Here's just a couple little blurbs. The more important a call or action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we will feel towards pursuing it. How many pages have I produced? So he's an author. He's the guy who wrote Legend of Bagger Vance, a bunch of other stuff. But so his descriptions here are kind of in the author lane. But let's translate to how many songs, whatever. How many pages have I produced? I don't care. Are they any good? I don't even think about it. All that matters is that I've put in my time and hit it with all I've got. All that counts is that for this day, for this session, I have overcome resistance. I thought that just did that little chunk right there. I for anyone who is unfamiliar with The War of Art, I am glazing through this. I'm just grabbing little bits and quotes from random chapters that kind of speak a little bit to the idea of what resistance is. But please, if you haven't read it, go buy it right now and dig into it. Just one other quote that really jumped out at me on resistance is the danger is greatest when the finish line is in sight. At this point, resistance knows that we are about to beat it. It hits the panic button. It marshals one last assault and slams us with everything it's got. The professional must be alert for this counterattack. Be wary at the end and do not open that bag of wind. So the idea, of course, is that resistance, and with a capital R, resistance personified, is something that gets in the way of everyone who's creating art. That is essentially the heart of the war of art, is resistance with a capital R. And so my question to you guys, and we got to be a little transparent, a little humble, a little just kind of laying it out there. But what is your particular resistance? What is the thing that interrupts your thought process, that interrupts your rhythm, that the thing that all of a sudden grinds that forward momentum to a halt, and something that it's not that we can't, with the proper tools, with the proper knowledge, with the proper wisdom, fight that and go through it, and I think all of us do, but I also know that it's not something that will ever go away, for sure. It's kind of a general question, but I wanted to just sort of talk about resistance and what that looks like for us. So yeah, what jumps out at you? What is resistance for you? Whether it's like a specific thing or just kind of how you feel that interacting with your journey as an artist. Yeah.
For me, in this season right now, it is a skill acquisition that is my resistance. So I'm in this process of starting like another project, and this project is going to be heavily like there's going to be a lot of guitar things, there's going to be a lot of vocal things and lyrical things, and it's like there's stuff that I've done in the past, but it's like it just hasn't been on my radar, and so now I'm like, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to do it. But then it's like, well, but my fingers don't work, and I need to get my voice back in shape, and so I got to do this, and I got to practice this much, but I'm not good enough to do this. And then I can look on the internet and see like, oh, this guy's like 14 and playing, Bach things on electric guitar, walking a tightrope. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. So I got to get better. And so it's this pursuit of technique that is making me not create. And so that's kind of this cycle that I'm currently in. And so I have little projects here and there that it's like, I need to do this, and it's great, and it's creative, and it's good. But I also have this kind of this thing that I'm trying to aim at, but my inner critic is telling me your technique is not there. And so I'm working on it, but I'm not overcoming to be like, well, just take a snapshot with where you are, what you're doing, the emotions you have, the ideas you have, and then keep growing as an artist. Like, just create with everything you have while you're taking steps towards improving your skill acquisition, but this season has been like skill acquisition is like, I wake up and it's like, you must be better, and it's resistance to, you should create something, with what you have, with where you are. So that's, as soon as you said resistance, I was like, oh yeah, I recognize, I recognize who that is at this moment.
Yeah, man. Well, and even and I want to keep going for sure through all of us, and we'll keep spinning around. But like those first two things I even read, Kirk, like I so hear you, and I to identify with, like, Pressfield saying the more important a call or action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we will feel toward pursuing it. Like it's just seems very clear that this next thing for you, like, is an extremely important step. And so of course there's going to be, all this resistance that's going to start popping up. Of course it's going to be something that isn't going to come, just like that. But then, like you said, like just to fight through it, to keep moving, even with that voice and that second, how many pages have I produced? I don't care. Are they any good? I don't care. All that matters is I put in my time, I hit it with what I got, and for this day, for this session, I have overcome resistance. Like you just, props to you for like that. The voice doesn't disappear, but you are like, it doesn't stop you either. And I love that for you, and thank you for modeling that well. Yeah, that's huge.
Thanks.
Who else?
I love the initial opening of the conversation, because it's of course, even that example from you, Kirk, is of course something we can all relate to so deeply, I think. And I was out with Mike in Minneapolis a couple weeks ago. It kind of is making me think of a conversation we had about, we were talking with a couple guys in the studio, and just how some artists, like, let's just use this example, which is sort of the one I remember, which is like, some artists who play guitar, they shred the guitar. That's like what they do. Like, you're in a metal band, you're a guitar player, you shred. That's never been something that I can do on the guitar. And that is something I've come to terms with at this point, that I'm not going to be someone who, practices doing sweeps every day. But yeah. But some of the kind of music that we're making, and the music that Mike and I were making while I was out there, there's a simplicity to it that to me is very beautiful, and is one of the reasons I love making that kind of music so much. And it's very simple chord progressions, and I shouldn't say simple, they can come across that way from, like, if you were to put them down on paper, but they're very moving and powerful when they come together in, the way that we get to hear them from a lot of those bands that we like, and that sort of thing. So I think, just to kind of bring that to what you shared, Kirk, that's just a similar example to me of it can be something for me in the past that makes me feel shy, or like not enough to, want to create or put something out that people I respect might go, that's all fine, but it wasn't very technical, or there wasn't a big solo, or this sort of thing. So, but I think to fight that thought pattern and sort of lean into the stuff that really speaks to us as we're creating can resonate with people who are listening, and it's what has got us to this point already, right? Yeah. So we're already at this point where we're creating and making music, and we get to do that all the time, and that's amazing. So kind of, for me, trying to keep that in my thought process of like, okay, someone, whether I'm making ambient music as what I do as an artist, or if somebody hired me to make a track for them, it's, they have faith in me that I can do this, and they don't care that I can't play like a Metallica solo or something like that. Yeah, that's just, to me, there's many more layers to that too, but that's kind of, yeah.
So good. Well, we can explore those layers as we go, but yeah, you're so right. That's spot on. Ben, how are you, man?
Yeah. I love the question. I love the setup. I think in my season right now, one of the things I've been feeling is that, I guess, especially over the last year or so, there's definitely been a push to create more music and be more efficient with production. At least I've kind of felt that, and I've had various side projects where I'm trying out different things. But in doing that, I think I have, by necessity, defaulted to stuff I can do very well, very easily, and relatively quickly. So that's everything from instruments that I use, like the effects, having some presets that I kind of go back to. And there can be advantages to that, because it kind of solidifies a particular sound. You can create stuff which feels very coherent. And so I don't mean to kind of bash that as a approach to creating. But one of the things I've been trying to work through, and I think I've spoken to a few of you about this recently, is really try to reintroduce an element of experimental kind of practice within my production, and just kind of almost going back to what made me love writing music in the first place, which is that you've got a blank canvas. You can do anything, you could try anything, and then sure, you might want to kind of move it back towards the overall sound that you have with your project or whatever, but really allowing for there to be a significant portion of that process which is experimental. So that's something that I'm working on right now, because I think in doing that, you, again, by necessity, take longer in the whole production process. But for me, it's been a much more enjoyable thing. And I've been really pleased with the results. And one of my challenges for myself this year is to work through that resistance in just kind of defaulting to stuff versus saying, hey, no, I'm going to just take the time to experiment. And, you know, if that means that sometimes it doesn't lead anywhere, that's fine. And if it means that it takes 3 times as long, that's fine, because it's bringing that enjoyment back. And it's also creating something just a little bit more unique, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a unique one, because like using tried and true instruments, effects, that sort of thing, like you said, there's something consistent you can get out of that. Like and those are instruments and effects that you have curated that to be a very select group that you love and that you know sounds pro, that you know how to work with them in a certain way, which is awesome. But also, you know that those will be a win, and that's a good thing. However, there's the other side of that sentence where it's like, okay, then that means that if I set these aside and I go elsewhere, the odds of something else being just as on the nose perfect reduces from down below near 100% to whatever else. And so there, like I hear you in the subconscious possibility of, this is not a sure thing anymore. And like there is excitement to that, and like we're creating art, but just from a like again, the resistance perspective, like that can be a very sneaky thing that's like, yeah, I don't know, this could go sideways real fast. And yeah, that's I hear you. Well, you know,
I think there's something along those lines too when it comes to just like maybe trying new things in general, whether it's like the effects of your workflow or Kirk, you know, a different project, that sort of thing. And this maybe for me is like more of a specific example of like what resistance might look like is I feel like I want to learn everything so fast that I don't like want to learn it, but then I don't feel like I'm an expert at it. So then I'm just going to like put it to the side, right? Because I can't. And similar to like maybe a workflow with effects or this sort of thing, it's just like, oh my gosh, I have this result that I want. How do I get there? Oh my gosh, this is going to take a lot of time. So, and like you guys know, like I've started just trying to do some more video stuff, and I'm kind of just like playing with these things that are, you know, I mean, ultimately like fun for me to just kind of be messing around with. And I think a way to like kind of go against that resistance for me is just to kind of like allow myself to have the time to like not be an expert at it immediately, and also say to myself, okay, not only am I allowed, and I'm giving myself permission to take half of a day to put time into this thing that I'm not an expert at right now. And my music career, what have you, as an artist is not going to suffer because I gave myself like 4 hours to kind of like put some time into this thing that I'm still learning. So I think there's like a danger of just, again, like just my own experiences. There's a hard place to be where it feels like I'm not allowed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be doing something else. I'm supposed to be building my catalog that has got me to where I am now. So now if I'm doing something that is not like immediately I'm able to see, you know, the proof of that, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm great at this. This is like worth my time, that sort of thing. Then I'm not allowed to kind of like experiment with that. So I really do think it has to be like a kind of constant like mental practice of like, okay, this thing that we do, making the music that we make, that took time to develop and get to where we are. And so these other things that we're interested in, those are important too. And they're important for the sake of like why we love to do what we do, which is, you know, creating something. And I think staying inspired, it can look very different, and learning new things and putting time into new things is a way that, you know, helps us stay inspired in what we do and the music that we make. So I think it's important for us to kind of like, allow ourselves to be like, okay, you know, it's going to take time. I'm allowing myself to put the time into it where, it's going to take a day to like mess with lighting or learn how to set up my effects chain or whatever. Those can't be done immediately, but the progress is always super encouraging in the end, right? So yeah.
It's good. Well, I don't have any resistance, so I'm glad that you guys all.
Of course,
sure.
That's why you're the podcast host.
No. My particular line, and let's be honest, there's probably 12 things in my resistance. The one that is that seems to be the most often and presents most prominently is I find myself quite often, and we've probably talked bits and pieces about this before, or I've just kind of like bared my soul a little bit about it before, but I find myself trying to create music with the end goal that people who listen to it think, wow, he's talented, or like, wow, Mike knows what he's doing. That it's like,
you did it, man.
It
You're
is
there.
That's, do not stroke that, man. Not at all.
I'm your number one fan.
That's where it comes from. Got it. But it's like as though the measuring stick that matters is not like, is this a moving piece of music? Is this something that tweaks my heart? But rather it's like, wow, I wonder about the intelligence level of the person who developed this, who composed this song. And it's funny, like I have a couple almost like avatars in my head of like the person who it's like, oh, I wonder what that person would think. And actually, Marshall, it's kind of funny because the guy who drummed, Marshall and I are working on a post-rock project that is about to go live. We're so excited. And we had Marshall came out to Minneapolis. We had the incredible Steve Gould come into studio and drum on it. Steve has drummed for everybody from Owl City to Need to Breathe to Sarah Bareilles to Ben Rector to Cody Fry to I mean, just you name it. He's been there, and he's a boss. So great. And Steve is also extremely well versed, extremely well listened in the music world, and has such a great philosophy around all of it, and his ability to hear music in the way he does is just awesome. But more often than not, I can hear myself thinking like, I wonder if Steve would think that this move is cool. Like I wonder, because I respect him a lot. So this is not a slight on who he is, but like I can hear, like all of a sudden he can almost in a sense become sort of an avatar that it's like, is that last chord progression move? Like, did I do a thing that like the people who like really know their stuff, they're going to be like, whoa, check that out. And man, I just like, how disheartening when I look at it, like how disheartening that instead of me being the final word on whether or not I approve of this piece of art, I'm essentially like letting someone else steal that. I'm essentially, or not even, I'm giving it away. I am saying you get to have the final word on whether or not this is, so, and what's even worse is that you don't ever really have that conversation with anyone. And so then I just start assuming that they don't like it. And I'm just like, I miss it, which is just its own like stupid cycle in and of itself. But man, I like, it just kind of dawned on me recently. Like I was just listening through we had talked about film scores recently, and I know that we're going to do a little bit of a film score challenge in a couple months. My buddy Josiah is getting us some footage. It's going to be great.
Nice.
But just thinking through film scores, thinking through like powerful music moments, not just in film, but also in certain music and all that. And I had to stop myself it was like a couple days ago. And I was like, man, I am not deeply moved by that piece of music because that piece of music was really complicated. Or I was not moved by that because of some giant crazy chordal movement or melodic thing that was just like, whoa, that sold me. Like it is a gut response. It is an emotional, just engaging with the composition at hand. And so how essentially ironic that I have set an inappropriate set of goalposts to try to kick a ball through, that the music that I love and adore the most, like the pieces of music that just move me the most, aren't even going for the same thing. Like I'm not, it's like not even on the field. It's like a whole different sport that's on the other side of the city. It's not even in the same like ballpark at that point. And so that's something I'm currently just having to kick resistance in the face right now and just process through. like letting go of trying to be perceived as someone who really knows how to write something cool, and instead of that, just letting the litmus test be like, is this just wowing me? Like, am I taken aback by this emotionally, and just to stop caring if it happens to be a chord progression or happens to be a little melodic thing that was probably used by someone somewhere at some point. Because I mean, what is new under the sun right now? You know, it's tougher and tougher to grab that, especially if there's 20,000 AI tracks being uploaded to Deezer a day. But yeah, that's my little bag of resistance currently, and has been for a while.
Well, it's kind of like a validation thing of sorts, right? Like we all kind of want that as we're, creating stuff. We want,
tell me
we
I'm
want
good, please. Yeah.
We want to feel like people like it. And, we could, there's so many ways you could go with that. I mean, let's say like the first time any of us ever got on like a big playlist or something, it's like, well, okay, this is amazing.
Wait, you guys are getting on big playlists? That's so cool.
Well, every now and then, every few years or so.
Only my Dear Gravity collaborations do.
Stop
there we
it.
go.
Whoa.
I wasn't going to say it. He said it.
Whoa.
When you, it's just the age old thing, if you will. It's like, well, then you get that, right? And then, well, have you arrived? Are you fully satisfied now with your creative, span of whatever you've done? It's like, well, now I've done that. So now what's the next thing? So I think your point just, kind of makes me, it just kind of reaffirms like creating and making things that speak to you, and kind of having the, I don't know if like faith is the term, just that it will resonate with people because it's resonating with you, and it ultimately will resonate with someone else. And we can get these results that are, visible and encouraging, and that is really great. And it is very encouraging. And I think that's like, to me, it's just a testament of the time that you've put in, and it's like, okay, this is awesome, and I can celebrate this. And also, it's not the end of the world if I don't see that in as much time as I'm hoping to, and just kind of like staying diligent with what we're doing, right? So as it's just tricky because we all want approval, and approval is great, but I like to know that I'm in good company with people who, we're all feeling that same way. And it's kind of like the diligence of we all keep pressing forward, we all keep making music, and then we all get to kind of like celebrate those cool things together, whether that's you telling me you like a track of mine, or that's it getting on a playlist, or, Steve texting you that was a good chord progression or whatever. So yeah. It's, I mean, it takes awareness though,
I think you're right, Marshall. Just even in the encouragement and accountability around here, and it might even be something worth opening up some type of dedicated channel on Discord. Just the idea of like the resistance channel, or it's almost like hey guys, and I need your thoughts and prayers, like for real. I just like here's what's going on, and I kind of feel like garbage on this. Like not that you have to just tell me pleasant things, but like here, this is kind of where I'm at. I know for sure that just even hearing, Ben, what you had to say, Marshall, what you had to say, Kirk, I want to like come back to you, Kirk, and I want to, encourage this new project, and I can't wait to hear what's going on. I absolutely want to be there as a support, and Ben, like for just like daring and experimenting beyond what has worked really well for a long time, but to take that extra effort to go after the thing that hasn't been proven, but that's still that excites you to the degree that first got you excited about music, period. Like I want to be that cheerleader for you. I want all, and I think all of us want to do that for each other, right? Because we care about each other, and we also we care about each other as brothers and friends. We also care about each other. Like I want to hear the even more elevated, the even more, wild and free version of Antarctic Wastelands. I want to hear what the heck, We Dream of Eden is up to next. Like Marshall, there is such beauty in the not shredding of you. Like your choices that you make are choices that just still stop me in my tracks some days. And I'm like, that was so tasteful. And I can't get over it. And like to just embolden us and just to call it what it is. Like, resistance is not truth. That's, my wife is really good at reminding me of that. She's like, just because you believe something does not mean that something is actually true. Like, just to keep reminding ourselves that that even if it's a narrative that keeps firing off all the time, does not mean that there's any validity to it. And so if we can kind of punch that punching bag together with each other, it becomes a little less daunting, a little less like we take it seriously. And I think that's pretty important. So and if we were to do something like a channel on, a discussion, a topic, I don't even know what to call Discord stuff. Sorry. But if there was a discussion happening around that, just to be able to cheer each other on, and, if someone is having a crappy day, like, how cool would it be to know that there's, dozens, or even if it's just a handful of people who weigh in quickly, but, just the growing size of the community, that there's a lot of people, around the world who are like, man, I get it. Me too. And hey, like just to encourage you, your last album or your last, I loved every bit of it. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Go get them. Like, sometimes that can be the difference between sleeping well tonight and knowing that you're getting excited about showing up at the studio tomorrow and going to bed just, like shaking your head and be like, why am I doing this? And again, like, it's believing lies that are absolutely not true, but they can be pretty convincing if we're not careful. So it's worth the effort. Fighting resistance is worth the effort, I think.
I'm going to go back and listen to that book. I have it on audio book. I just remember walking and listening to it and being like, okay, you're right. There's a couple other, I feel like we talked about this recently, we probably did, but there's a couple really short books that are almost like sequels in a sense to it. To The War of Art, and I believe that the two titles are Turning Pro and Do the Work, but they're both kind of in the it's like if you were to take a 101 college course that is the War of Art, it's kind of like the 201 301. Like, it just sort of like takes the idea and sort of like fleshes it out a little bit further. Absolutely worth it. But yeah, I think I'm probably gonna go back and cue those up again myself. It's been a minute. Wow, you guys. Well, thanks for bearing your souls a little bit, and let's keep on doing it, because there's some great art that I would hate for resistance to stop from each of you. That the more we talk about it, the less power that has over us. So let's do it.
That's right. Cheers, guys.
Thanks again for joining us on the All Ambient podcast. This is about as shameless of a plug as it gets, but it really does help for those of you who are watching to give us a rating if you're on any podcast platform like Apple or Spotify or anything like that. On YouTube, we would love a follow, a subscribe, a like, all that fun stuff. And please leave a comment, a review, whatever is applicable to the right place that you're finding this. It really does go a long way. You don't have to make anything up by any means, but if there's some value in this podcast for you, we'd love to hear about it. We, as the All Ambient family, would love to meet you. I know it does my heart good, as well as everybody else who's involved at All Ambient. So please do so. Come back and join us next week. We got another great episode coming your way. And until then, here's hoping that this music and the hearts behind it make your day and your life that much better. Thanks.